Well, in other news, it's the third annual year in which Boston Consulting Group and QED teamed up for their third annual FinTech report. And joining me now with the report's findings is Nigel. He's a co-founder and managing partner at QED Investors. Nigel, welcome.
Morning. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show here. What are you seeing when it comes to financial technology trends?
Well, FinTech is on a roll. It's basically 3% of all of financial service revenues worldwide. So it's 380 billion on over 14 trillion, and it's gaining momentum. So if you look at the growth rates of fintechs, they're growing at over 20% when the incumbents are growing at 6%. So at that rate of different growth rates, we're going to see fintech in 7 years being 10% of total revenues worldwide. So we're seeing now a generation of fintechs that are coming of age, that have scale, that have great governance, that have really good unit economics, and really meet the consumer where they are with terrific net promoter scores. So for example, today we're going to see Chime price. We saw Circle recently, and then eToro before that. So we're now seeing a wave of next-gen fintech companies that are coming to market, and these companies are, very terrific.
Yeah, we saw Circle's blockbuster debut here at the stock exchange just last week, up triple digits in a single day of trade. You mentioned just the velocity that we're seeing. What are some of the technologies, the innovations that really stand out to you?
Yeah, when you look at where fintechs are gaining share, they're gaining share in terms of challenger banks. So we see in the UK and Monzo and Revolut. Here we see Chime, we see Albert, we see Current, and these are entities that are offering financial service products digitally to the populations that the banks have not really focused on. We see businesses like Earned Wage Access. We see Rain here in the US. We see Klarna overseas, WageStream in the UK, offering services that the banks have not really focused on. We see a terrific amount of interest in terms of stablecoins, and we saw that with Circle. So a number of companies are focused now on how do we meet the needs of a population, consumers and small businesses who really want access to stablecoin, particularly for security purposes and for moving money. So there's a wide range of technologies that we're seeing now coming to market, and they're now in the hands of very capable entrepreneurs. Yeah,
you're naming many companies whom I had the pleasure of speaking with, in fact, last week in Amsterdam at Money 2020 Europe. It was a financial technology gathering talking about the global money ecosystem. And these companies, I think you're right, they are moving at a very fast pace. The biggest takeaway, I think, on the ground there last week was the term stablecoin, coincided with Circle's debut here at the stock exchange. What is happening in the stablecoin market that our viewers need to be aware of?
Yeah, well, we're getting, as QED, as a global fintech investor, been now doing this for nearly 20 years. We've made over 200 investments. We look at the deal flow that we're seeing, it's an enormous amount of companies that either say, look, we're really enabled by AI, and we're using stablecoin. Stablecoin really is a terrific way of being able to think about how we can move money across border, which I think there's huge friction and huge issues there, as well as people who want to have a store of wealth that can be protected against various currency movements. So we're seeing stablecoin explosion across the board, and as specialist investors in fintech, we're picking out the best ones and looking to place some bets with some really terrific founders.
What is next for these founders in these companies that you anticipate on the horizon?
What is next is, I think, a continuation of a trend that we have seen in fintech for the last 3 years, and that's a focus on profitability. If we look at Chime, they were profitable in the first quarter. If we look at eToro, we look at Circle, the focus on backing off a little bit from growth rates and moving to profitability, giving confidence that from an equity markets perspective, that these are really good companies. We saw a deluge of IPOs in 2021.
Yes.
I was here on the stock exchange here for Nubank's IPO in 21. And I think then we've seen very little fintech companies come to market. And over that 3-year period, we've seen a very substantial shift away from growth at all costs to a, let's get some very solid growth, 30, 40%,
Yeah.
but let's get to profitability. And we've seen that public fintechs have gone from about 30% of them being profitable to now just shy of 70% being profitable over the last 3 years.
Yeah, so profitability definitely is there. Nigel, thank you so much for joining. Great to get your take on the world of financial technology as we see some of these blockbuster debuts here at the stock exchange.
It's a pleasure, thanks.
Yes, Nigel Morris, co-founder and managing partner at QED Investors.